stand together, we'll never fall. We can make a difference and answer the...
Well, hi there, and welcome back to another episode of the All Around Growth Podcast. My name is Rob Kaiser, and I am your host. Today is Friday, January 13th, 2023, and this is episode number 489 of a show where we talk about a variety of topics generally focused on what I call all-around growth. And for those of you who are listening and maybe wondering what I mean by that, in my humble opinion, all-around growth is growth and development in all aspects of our life in a balanced manner, involving, but certainly not limited to, 7 areas of life that would be financial, physical, personal development, family, spiritual, social, and career. Oftentimes in that order, and that comes from the goal setting guide, which I will link to in the show notes, which has helped provide some framework for this show and ultimately some framework for my life in terms of finding balance in my own life. And in today's show, we are going to talk about identifying as people who are healthy through the habits that we follow. All right, so this topic comes from the Telegram group via Andy Hughes, and Andy's a good guy, longtime listener of the show, writer, blogger, just dropped a couple new posts in the group. If you want to see those, I would encourage you to check out t.me/allaroundgrowth. I will also go ahead and link to his blog post in the show notes so you can see what he is up to. But he writes about something that he's been pondering, and to provide a little bit of context for the topic of today's show, which I'm going to talk freely on over coffee and briefly at that, because I've got to take Dad into the big city today and just be his chauffeur, driving Miss Daisy around, if you will. He's got some medical procedures that need to take place on his hand for a condition that I am drawing a blank on right now. Maybe it'll come to me, maybe it won't, but whatever this condition is, it is something I will try to link to in the show notes. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the show topics. Nevertheless, it's not a big deal. It's okay. There's just a little bit of, feeling unsettled about that which we don't know too much about. So we're going to go up there today, get some injections in the hand, return Monday for manipulation of this, and hopefully that's going to work out. But what Andy writes is something that he's been pondering. So he signed up for a gym. I'll just read it, okay? Because it's going to be easier that way. And I'm just going to basically respond directly to this. So that's how this is going to work, guys. Coffee talk. If you've got a topic, a question, want some feedback on something, just drop it in the group and I will gladly respond to it, because this is a fun way to have some interaction with you guys. And it's also thought-provoking for me to, talk about some things that actually most likely have been on my mind, and will hopefully help you out in the whole thought process or thought processes as, you go on throughout your life. So here we go. Something I've been pondering. I signed up for a gym membership at Planet Fitness. Possible topic for this morning's coffee topic, or possible topic for this morning's coffee talk. I want to identify as a person who is healthy, therefore the habits will follow. For example, if I see myself as someone who goes to the gym then I'll be healthy as long as I have the discipline to stick with it. 1% better each day equals great returns long term. Identity-based versus outcome habits. Start with identity and the habits will follow. Who is the kind of person that will lose weight? To lose 40 pounds, what would a healthy person do? Small habits. Every action is a vote for the type of person you believe you are. All right, this is good stuff. We've got a lot of thumbs up or heart emojis or whatever, you know. Telegram is cool. For those of you guys who aren't on Telegram, Telegram is basically like a text messaging app that doesn't suck like group texts do, okay? So just check it out. You don't need to put it on your phone. You can use it on your computer. I would highly recommend that you check it out as a way to engage with the audience and other people or groups that you want to follow. But I think that this is actually quite a pertinent and relevant topic for a show because I too have been pondering signing up for a gym membership. And I was out last night with some friends, and one of whom signed up for a membership at the rec center. Another who had or currently is a member of the rec center. And one of the reasons I want to sign up for a membership at the rec center is we've got a sauna, and I am training for, well, I should be training for this half marathon that I will be running in May with my brother, and more on that later. I'm going to try to make a show or, you know, create a show on that and how I'm signing up and all of that. But as far as this gym membership is concerned and the topic of today's show, he wants to identify as a person who is healthy, therefore the habits will follow. All right. What this message is, I think, just, you know, a lot of thoughts kind of assembled here in a message, maybe through talk to text. I know that when my stuff talk to text comes out, it comes out kind of garbled and weird. But all right, so for example, if I see myself as someone who goes to the gym, then I'll be healthy as long as I have the discipline to stick with it. Key point right there, as long as I have the discipline to stick with it. There was one key thing in here that stood with me as I read and stuck in my mind. Small habits. Every action is a vote for the type of person you believe you are. All right, action here is the key word. Now, I can certainly understand what it takes to lose 40 pounds over the course of the past, I don't know how many years. My weight has fluctuated, and from my highest weight to my most healthiest, there was a difference of 110, maybe 115 pounds. And the weight where I am currently at now is 100 pounds less than my heaviest. So I know for a fact that it is possible to drop 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 80 pounds, 100 pounds, because I've done it. All right. Now, this did not happen overnight. This did not happen over the course of a few months, but it happened over the course of a few years, and it happened with consistency over the long term. So I'm going to argue this point: 1% better each day equals great returns long term. Theoretically, that sounds good. But the reality is, it's, for me at least, again, I all I can do is share my own personal experience. But for the reality is, I've never, ever been able to make progress that consisted of something along the lines of 1% better each day. Because if I were to improve in a manner like that, man, I'd be the healthiest person alive. I'd be like Michael Phelps, David Goggins, and other superhumans all combined, because 1% better each day over the long haul would basically turn me into a superhuman. However, that's not how life goes. There's ebbs and flows and ups and downs. And what my objective, I don't want to say what my objective has been, but looking back, the overall trajectory of life over the last 10 years has resulted in a continuous upward trajectory. Now, if we were to actually look at and analyze that line and that linear path closely, we would see lots of ups and downs. And, think of it like climbing a mountain, right? Except when we climb the mountain, we never actually reach the peak. Because the peak in life is death, the ultimate release. However, when you are climbing, oftentimes in order to reach that peak, you've got to go through a number of false peaks, false summits. Feels like a peak, but it's not. You've got to go down before you go up. Kind of like a roller coaster. So, lots of false summits before you actually get to the ultimate summit, but the ultimate summit really isn't what we think it is, ever. Because life is nothing but change. That is the only constant in life. However, my point is that in order to continuously progress towards the ultimate final summit, we have to keep moving forward. And oftentimes moving forward means going down before we can go up. But nevertheless, we're still moving, right? So gym memberships are great. And I think there's a lot of potential there to, give us tools and resources that can help us achieve the goals that we have. But, I don't know. I mean, if the goal is to lose X amount of pounds, that's a good goal. If the goal is to ultimately identify as a person who is healthy, identifying as, we can have a whole different conversation about people identifying as whatever. But, that conversation could get weird fast because, man, we live in a day and age in 2023 where, hey, you can identify as whatever you want, and that don't mean shit, right? So, again, the thing that stood out to me is action. This makes me think back of the three frogs in a log analogy. And someone posted a link to a tweet that outlined this analogy quite nicely sometime earlier this week in the group, but here it is. 3 frogs sit on a log, and one decides to jump off. How many remain? 3. 3 frogs still remain on the log because you can make a decision all day, but until you actually take action on the decision and execute upon it, you're still sitting on that log. So, what's the point? Where am I going with this? I don't know what identity-based versus outcome habits means. Start with identity and the habits follow. No, I don't agree with that. Who is the kind of person that will lose weight? Well, that I can answer. The kind of person that loses weight is the one who engages in the activities that facilitate that consistently over time. The problem that we oftentimes have when we do not or are unable to make progress in and with our goals over the long run is we begin strong and we start strong, but then we stop. And then we stop for a long period of time. And then we get upset with our lack of progress because we spend so much time dwelling on the fact that we made progress once before, but because we've lost, we've lost our traction and we stopped putting one foot in front of the other, we end up moving backwards. And then when we try to start again, it's oftentimes that much harder to, gain the same footholds that we utilized before. So, I'm trying to think back of my own journey. At some point, I weighed more than 100 pounds than I do now. So what the hell, man? How'd that happen? How'd that work? Well, it's I too set goals. And the goals that I set aren't necessarily going to be the goals that you guys all have. But I think it's important to set goals and then work for them, but also identify, patterns that that we all can change and implement in the long run. Now, for me, a lot of this involved dietary habits and changes. One of the big things that had the greatest impact on me was the act of intermittent fasting. And not just doing that from time to time, but basically restructuring my entire life around that and just making it my life. I what's the window now? That's average. Let's see, 14 hours roughly. 14 hours a day I do not eat. All right. And, has that been the case consistently over the past month? Hell no. Hell no, not at all. It's been a wild month. It's been a crazy month, but I recognize that and I acknowledge that. And that is in part why I too am looking at this gym membership, even though money's tight right now. I think it's going to be worth it. But I also think that that's something I can squeeze into my day as I go running around town. I'm out that way. It's not going to be a big deal to, dude, I haven't had a gym membership in, I don't know how long. So even the thought of it is kind of like intimidating, and that's why I haven't done it, but incorporation of that into my life is going to be a major monumental shift in how I approach my day, how I approach my routine, how I approach everything. And am I going to be able to stay consistent with that when things get busy? When market season picks up? I don't know. I'm not really sure. But I'm inclined to find out. And it may only be, for the few months, because look, let's face it, guys, like running in the wintertime sucks. And running kind of is, hurts. With like, I've got some knee problems and my knee is acting up. So like, I don't know. Am I making excuses? Maybe. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not here to just talk about that, but I'm here to talk about this and provide my response to this. And I need to really get to concluding because it's going on 8 a.m. right now, and I need to get over with Dad so we can hit the road. So when it comes to health and goals, I understand that we want to identify as people who are healthy. Therefore, the habits will follow. Like, theoretically, I get that. For example, if I see myself as someone who goes to the gym, then I'll be healthy as long as I have the discipline to stick with it. All right, so there's one goal here. If your goal is to lose X amount of pounds, what would a healthy person do? Small habits, every action is a vote for the type of person you believe you are. Brother, you can do this. You can do whatever you want. But I would encourage you to remember that it's consistency with action over the long run. Weeks, months, years. And with the understanding that on this journey towards the peak, there's going to be false summits galore. And as soon as you think you're there, you've got to go down before you can go up again. Consistency over time is the key. Because it's not just about losing X amount of pounds. It's not just about running a race. It's not just about doing a thing. But what happens when we get healthy is everything changes. I'll tell you one of the things that sucks the most. One of the things that changes is your wardrobe, dude. That sucks. No, I have one pair of pants that fits, and thank God that my sister-in-law gave me a pair of pants for Christmas, because all I could do a few years ago was buy a new belt to cinch up these giant pants that I'm wearing that make me look like I've been buying clothes at Omar the Tent Maker. But, you know, again, that's also because a lot of the clothes that I have and some of the pants that I wear are pants that I've owned for 10 years now or more. And those are clothes that I've had because they were just pants that I wore when I was a big fat fuck. So, you know, there's something to consider. Buy a pair of pants that definitely don't fit. You know, buy a pair of pants that's like 2 sizes too small. And then just keep them out, you know, all the time. Look at them. Put them on. See the results regularly as you work towards your goal. Because, like, again, all I know is my own personal experience. I personally lost over 100 pounds. And then I put a bunch back on. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I've engaged in a lot of bad habits over time. Stopped those bad habits. Picked them up again. Started, stopped, started, stopped, started, stopped. That's okay. I can say now with confidence that the negative habits that I'm actively engaging in at this point in my life are far less than the negative habits I was engaging in. And I'm not really sure what just happened there. But if there was an interruption in the recording, my apologies for that, because technical difficulties, we'll say. But at the very, I don't know if any of this made sense. The key point, though, that I want to reiterate is consistency over time delivers. So work on a goal. And, you know, make sure the goals are smart, you know, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. You want to lose X amount of weight? Okay. When? By what date? How are you going to do it? Have you ever lost that much weight before? And if so, what happened when you put the weight back on? Is X amount of weight to lose a realistic goal right now? Or is maybe half of that a more realistic goal that you could achieve in 3 months? Right? So, you know, prime example, and I know I said I got to wrap this up, and I definitely do, but prime example is when I was at my heaviest, I decided that I wanted to run a marathon. Yeah. 275-pound dude, want to run a marathon. Not realistic. All right. So how'd I do it? Well, I changed some habits, lost some weight first, and then whatever, okay? Doesn't even matter. Let's just say you're 400 pounds and you want to run a marathon. All right. Cool. How do you do it? Well, you don't just go out and run a marathon, all right? You might pick a date 2 years out in the future. You might start by walking a tenth of a mile. You might start by, having X amount of weight to lose in X amount of time. Break it down, man. Make sure that the goals that we set, and this is good food for thought for myself. Make sure that the goals that we set are smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Goals are good, but having these metrics in place to ensure that we can achieve them are even better. And ultimately, what are we going to do? What actions are we going to take when we realize that we don't achieve what it is that we set out to achieve when we set out to achieve it? What kind of corrective action can we take when we don't make the progress that we want to make? Because the reality is, life on life's terms dictates that that's often the case. If we get hung up and wallow in our own self-pity and shame, then that's oftentimes a big hang-up that prevents us from getting to where we need to be or where we want to be. So, the final analogy I'll draw is kind of like cleaning the barn. It looks real nice on the outside, man, but it's a train wreck on the inside. So how am I going about doing that? Well, like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. Where do I start? I don't know. I could start anywhere. It's overwhelming when I look at it in its entirety. So I just picked a corner, I started there, and I started working my way from that corner towards the next. And then when I get to that next corner, I'll keep going. One bite at a time, man. Set those goals, make them specific, make them measurable, make them achievable, make them realistic, and make them time-bound. You want to lose X amount of weight? Awesome. When? And then outline your plan. How? And then keep us posted, dude. Because you got this. If you want it. And that's all I got. We all make choices, dude. We all make choices. Consistency over time delivers results. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.
In a world of pain, what can I do? The needs are many and answers are few. People turn away and I wonder why. If I can help somebody, then I want to try. People may think that it's odd that I believe in friendship and love. And truth is always the best way to the world that may seem odd. I'm an odd fellow. I'm an odd fellow. Whoa, whoa. I'm an odd fellow. If we stand together, we'll never fall. We can make a difference and answer the call. You know the times are wasting every day, and we can help somebody along the way. People may think that it's odd that I believe in friendship and love. Truth is always the best way to the world going out.